Hey, Cleaning Nation, Mike Campion here with not just one of our clients, but kind of a cool dude, Marty Reiswig. This guy's been, I don't know how long he's been a client. He'll tell us, but got a great company. You know what? I'm just going to let Marty dive in. I can tell you all about Marty. We'll let Marty tell you about Marty. Actually, let's start with how you got in the business. I always love kind of origin stories for people.
Yeah, thanks. I actually kind of parlayed some real estate, being a real estate agent, parlayed some of that success into wanting to buy a business that I thought I could improve. I was actually inspired by a TV show called The Profit with Marcus Lemonis. And I was like, man, I wonder if I could do that on a really small scale. And so one thing led to another, and I ended up buying a commercial cleaning company.
That's so cool. So did you go through a broker? Or did you find it like through a friend, or how'd you kind of connect?
Yeah, so I actually found the businesses that I vetted on bizbuysell.com.
Really?
And then I did have a business broker friend who kind of gave me a few tips and pointers, but I ended up just doing it on my own.
And did the seller have a broker or no?
Yeah, the seller had a broker. It was listed, and I wouldn't recommend anybody do that. I probably overpaid by a lot because I didn't have my own broker.
Okay. Well, and just, as all of you guys know, the seller pays the broker. So, it's one thing if you're writing the check, but like the seller's going to pay all of it anyway. Might as well get my own goddamn representation.
Yeah.
Well, having bought and sold more than my share probably of businesses, I have thoughts about how that probably went, but it's more for fun because I'm guessing, 5 or 10% of the audience is like, oh, I bought my cleaning company. How did it feel first of all, how long ago was that?
So that was 5.5 years ago.
Okay, it's 5.5 years ago. How long did it take you to get, well, two questions in one. One, how did it feel like that first couple months? Like, how did that just feel? And two, how long did it take you before you finally felt like, all right, this is really my company, not just like legally, but emotionally, if that's even a thing you can say?
Yeah. Yeah. So the first couple of months, the previous owner was around, and I drank as much Kool-Aid of his as I could. Turns out a lot of that wasn't exactly how I ended up running my company. Right. He had his own way of doing it. And so once he was gone, I was left with just an office manager gal who was bad culture fit from day one. She just yelled at everybody, my way or the highway, never got out of the chair and went and met with real people. Just was really toxic. And so I let her go. And then all of a sudden it felt like it was my company really, really suddenly. But I started hiring good people and try to put in some basic systems and processes so that it wasn't keeping me, making me work 60 hours a week. That was pretty scary. As far as how long it took before it really felt like my company, probably about a good full 2 years.
Long time.
It was a long time. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't feel like an expert of any kind. I would hire the wrong people and have to let them go. It just didn't feel like mine until we had a good team that was solid, wasn't leaving. And we completely rebranded from the previous owner's brand and logo and name and all of that. Just did a new DBA and a new brand, a new website, and it really just felt like mine at that point.
Interesting. I'll give you one last on-topic thing, and we'll kind of get into more of Marty's, transition and more recent history. But like I said, having bought and sold a couple, I'll tell you, I don't even know that people are, like dishonest or liars, but we're business owners, so obviously we're pretty biased. And rarely do business owners sell when they're like, I'm just about to explode this thing. Like, I've got everything I need and it's going to rock. Usually it's not only am I kind of stuck here because I don't know how to get to the next level, but it's in a condition where it's kind of a pain in the butt to even maintain. It doesn't make them bad people. It just makes it, I had a car dealership, when people trade their cars when they need a new set of tires. Like, it doesn't make them bad people. It's just, well, I could spend $1,000 on new tires, or I could, buy another car. So most of the businesses that are for sale in a good scenario need new tires. In a bad scenario, the transmission shot and they're trying not to tell you, and it's probably somewhere in the middle. Yeah. So just it's tough because when you buy a business, you're like, hey, I don't know anything. And most of us hopefully want to be humble and be like, hey, let me learn something from the guy that I'm buying this from. But most of what that guy or gal can teach you is how to get it to where it's at. And very few of us are buying it to kind of maintain. So anyway, a little bit of a rabbit trail, but for
Yeah, I think
6% of the audience, that was really helpful. Sorry, Marty, I didn't mean to talk over you.
yeah. Oh, I interrupted you. I think my 2 cents on that was that the previous owner was a good guy, honest. And you're right. He kind of got it to where he could get it to, and then it plateaued, and then he wanted to retire. He was older, and it was working to a degree that was working for him.
Right.
Right. But it didn't feel good on me at all. It didn't fit for me. So yeah, yeah. It's been a wild ride, but it's really, really good. I'm glad I have it.
Yeah. And that's, yeah. So it's most, I think, transitions I've seen. I mean, some go really badly, but if you take those out, first 6 months, they're like, this is a horrible mistake. I really wish I could undo this, but yeah. All right. So let's move on. And again, I know Marty where he's at now. So I almost always forget Marty when I met him. So these are kind of fun journeys for me as well. When you reached out, if you remember how long it's been, kind of what made you reach out and go, hey, because, rarely do people reach out and go, just want to tell you, Mike, everything's working perfectly. Just wanted to give you a heads up. We'll check in 6 months. It's usually something's not working. It's sometimes at a pretty drastic level and sometimes just not, sometimes at a 2, sometimes at a 12. But what was going on in your world that made you go, you know what? I want to do something different. I'm going to get some help. I don't want to keep doing what I'm doing. I want different results.
Yeah. Have you ever gone to the doctor thinking you had one illness and it turns out you had a completely different one, and fixing that one fixed most other things? That's how this happened.
I don't ever go to the doctor, which is terrible of me. So I haven't had that happen, but even not going to the doctor, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a good analogy. You finished, but I'm liking where you're going.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like going to the chiropractor because your neck hurts and then they pop your back way low and it fixes everything else. So yeah. I came to you guys because I didn't know anything about being a janitor, like actually doing the work. And I wanted to learn more about the actual practical day-to-day work of cleaning and some of that expertise. And right. I've got none of that here.
We don't, just to be clear, we don't, if you want to know how to clean, there's 109 places that are better than us. So that's so fun. I didn't remember that. Please continue.
Yeah, that was secondary. And then primary reason was just needing more leads. I believe that's why I have that up, is like the solution is always more leads.
For everyone on the podcast, he's got a sign, a whiteboard behind him that says the solution is always more leads. And those of you for YouTube, enjoy the beauty of Marty's office.
And I just knew that I needed more leads to outsell our churn. And I have found some solutions here with that, but I've actually found other solutions that have cured a lot of other things inside of the Grow My Cleaning Company community and classes and all of that stuff. So
we'll talk solutions, because obviously I want to make sure, I was telling Marty before we started, a lot more people listen to podcasts than we're able to coach one-on-one. So when I have these, clients on, the goal is really just to hear a different voice going, this is what, maybe Marty will say something that just hits different. Like, oh, it makes sense. So I promise we're going to do the rest of the time on the solutions. But for those of you guys and gals, because my biggest frustration, not that you guys care, but it ties in, is a coach, is people don't come to us when they're ready for a little bit of a change. I'm not saying this was Marty. They come to us when it's a gosh darn dumpster fire. And I'm like, where were you 6 months ago? And we can still help, but it's like, we had so many options 6 months ago. And now it's just, we got options, but they're all going to kind of be painful. So let's go both ways. What stopped you from because I know we haven't been working together for 5.5 years. So you were kind of doing this on your own for years. How did you immediately be like, I need help, I'm going to get help? Or were you kind of like, I know I need help, but I don't like it, or it's going to be expensive, or what held you back? And then what, from getting some help or doing something different, and what pushed you over? Enough. I gotta get some goddamn help. I'm not willing to, because there's a large part of the people out there right now that are in that thing. And guys, gals, this isn't a commercial for us. If you need some help and you think we're a fit, great. If you think we're knuckleheads, you still need help. So for those of you that are kind of there, the worst thing about this podcast is people listen and they go, I really like that. That was really helpful. And they go back and do the same goddamn thing and don't make any changes. So what happened in your world to take the concept of getting help or making a change from, yeah, I probably should, to I got to do something. I got to take action.
Yeah, good question. I think what was holding me back from getting really good coaching and investing in something like this honestly was my own arrogance, or at least like self-belief that I could figure it out. And so we were trying lots of different things, and some things worked and some things didn't. It was primarily around lead generation. I feel like I have a halfway decent skill of leadership and management. What I just could not figure out is how to go get more commercial leads and close more leads. And am I pricing right? Do my bids look professional? Am I even in the ballpark? And how's my conversion rates? Like if I go on 100 bid appointments, shouldn't I close more than 5 of those or something? And the answer is yes. And that wasn't that bad, but that's what was holding me back. I was always looking and Googling for more answers, but I finally realized, you know what? I don't want to just go hire yet another lead generation company. I want to learn from an expert as well as a community of experts and practitioners. How are they doing it? And what am I missing? Because boy, it sure felt like I got to the end of myself and my own possible solutions and just needed outside perspective.
God, I love that, because I would say at least 30% of our coaching is telling people and encouraging people things that they know, but help them to actually follow through. And maybe 50 or 60% is, I thought I should do that, but I didn't know for sure. And I didn't know if that was the first thing I should, like, just that lack of certainty and confidence is like, I got 10 good ideas and maybe 3 are terrible and maybe 3 are great. Maybe the remaining 6 are like, well, it kind of depends. They're good, but not what I should be doing first. But if you don't have any outside perspective, like you said, to be like, no, go here, do this. It's like, God, just all, like you said, it's a lot of stepping up to bat and a lot of striking out. You just hope that the home runs, even if they're few and far between, kind of outweigh the strikeouts or and it often doesn't. Okay, super helpful. Thank you for sharing that. So yeah, and I love the favorite thing you said so far is you thought you needed X and you really needed Y and Z and maybe even a little A. And that's very common. A lot of people, like, if I just had more leads, and it's like, not saying leads aren't important or sales process isn't important or pricing isn't important, but we really want that silver bullet when it's often half a dozen things or 2 or 3 things anyway. Love that.
Yeah, or something I wasn't even thinking about. Which
those are the worst ones. The don't know what I don't know will really sneak up and bite you in the butt. Like, what you don't know can't hurt you. It's like, oh yeah, no, those are kind of the worst because you don't see them coming. Mike Campion here. Do you ever listen to the podcast and go, this is great information, I just wish I could actually get it implemented and I wish I could get some help? Well, we do that. If you would like either myself or my team's help actually coming up with a plan that's specialized to you and your business, because with these podcasts, obviously we have to be very general and we can only go 20 minutes at a time. If you'd like to jump on a call with myself or my team, go to growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. We'll jump on a call. There's no charge. And we'll help you get some absolute clarity around exactly what to do next and how to do it. The reason we don't charge for these calls is the plan that we come up with, people want help implementing that. If that's the case, we're happy to talk about it. And if it's not, that's okay too. We're happy to just help you come up with a plan. So if you want to translate the information you're learning here into an actual plan that can change your life, give us a ring, growmycleaningcompany.com/talk. Love to either myself or have one of our coaches walk you through and actually personalize the content you get here to where you're at with your business. Talk soon. Okay, so let's talk for those and the guys and gals like, all right, well, what do I do? And what did you do? And how did, you keep alluding to all this good stuff and these big changes you make, like, give me the good stuff. What changes did you make that kind of had the most impact? And what changes did you make that maybe didn't have as much of an impact or you didn't like?
Yeah, the biggest impacts that I went through was, first, I tried getting myself out of being responsive to my team and to customers and to prospects and all of that all the time. Which is one thing that you coach toward is, how do I make $10,000 more a month and work 10 hours a week? And rather than doing 10 hours a week, I took those 4 weeks a month roughly and said, well, I'd rather do 40 hours in 1 week and take the other 3 weeks off.
Love that.
So I compiled my 10 hours into 40 and I just worked 1 week a month for about 4 months, and played a lot of golf. And I just learned a ton. I learned that my teammates, my staff, are fully capable of doing what they need to do. We needed to have some things put into place, some check-in meetings. So now we have a Monday morning meeting every single Monday morning, and we meet face to face, well, virtually, but face to face, and really connect as human beings, as well as like talk about, it's like a huddle for the rest of the week. Like, here's the playbook, and here's what we're up against, and does anybody have any issues? And we do personal and professional wins from last week. So it was good to put that practice in place of being more absent from my company in order to see just how mature everyone really is, and then just kind of nurture that along.
So what,
things that
because
are
I can't imagine you came in and made no changes, just like, I'm going to take 3 weeks off. I mean, that's a lot of it, by the way. People ask me, how do I take time off? And a big part of the answer is you take time off, and things will break and you'll be okay with that and you fix it. But I'm putting myself in the listener's shoes. I'm like, well, what did you do? I want to work 1 week. Like, how did you, whether we helped you set it up or was set up natively, that's not a natural thing. So if I'm here asking like, well, how do I want that? How do I do that? How did you organize your business in such a way that that was a possible reality?
That's a good question. And we would need a whole nother podcast, I think. But a few of the things that made a big difference was I created a secret private email address. No one else gets it but my inner circle of my team. Everything else has to go to those people. And then if anything escalates that they can't figure out even amongst each other. So let's say a problem arises. One of my teammates says, well, I think this is what I should do here, but I'm not sure. Instead of calling Marty, I'm supposed to contact 2 or 3 other people on the team and run by my potential solution with the team before I ever bother Marty with it. And so I just kind of created not some sort of giant hierarchy where I'm more important than everybody else, but I tried to express like, I'm running out of hours, I'm running out of energy, and this thing is going to burn me out entirely. And then we all lose our jobs.
And frankly, 3 of your best people are probably smarter than one Marty. So not only is it not wear you out, but it's like, I'm hiring smart people. Maybe I could just let them do their job. And I love that, by the way. I wish I could take credit. That's a Marty thing. That's not something we coach. I would coach it. I like that. But that was so good. Give me one more, and then we'll talk about maybe any of the other things that you want to talk about. But what else do you do that allows you to leave your company?
Yeah. Monday morning meetings where I can personally human connect and professionally connect.
So when you're taking 3 weeks off, do you still do the weekly Monday meeting?
I do. Yeah. It's a 20-minute call on FaceTime. No, sorry. Google Meet. So that
but online, you don't have to be present.
I can do it from anywhere. And then once a week, at the end of every week, they got to turn in their weekly reports. What happened? What was good? What was bad? What'd you learn? And then once a month, I would read those most of the time, but it's really just important that they know they have to do it.
And even if you don't, I mean, yeah, they want you want to read them, but just forcing them to think through and articulate and summarize what they think is important about the week. You certainly should read it, obviously, but even if not, I wouldn't say that's a waste at all, because I think even if you do read it, they're going to get 80% of the benefit from being forced to think that through. And then you as the owner have that kind of X-ray vision overview of the company. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have monthly team meetings where everybody's all together. So my work week, the 1 week out of the month that I would work a lot, I would meet in person with every single team member for our one-to-one, and establish what went right, what went wrong in the past, and what's going to happen in the next month, and what are your targets and non-negotiables. And then that's what I want to hear from you over the next several weeks on your weekly reports. And then also that week, we would have the all-team meeting and kind of do that same thing, but for the whole company wide, and make sure that if there's anything for the good of the group or the good of the company, that it all gets shared. And we also look at our financial dashboard and are we hitting our targets for sales and losses and things like that.
So keys, guys, Marty had a bit of an assumption that you have a financial dashboard. So really important to check that monthly. And for us, we would just keep it as simple as possible. Sales, cost of goods sold, overhead, profit, leads, bid, sales, applicants, interview starts. Should be pretty good. That's should be if in the cleaning industry. Obviously, different industries are going to have different KPIs, but that's a good start. Okay, well, since we're kind of running out of time, I'll open up to anything. What were any other big changes? If I'm in clean, I'm sure you get these calls. I'm in Cleaning Nation. I'm like, hey, Marty, I heard your podcast. Like, just give me 5 minutes of, or whatever, however long you want to go of what you just, what's the biggest changes that you made, or what would you recommend to a guy wanting to make more or a gal wanting to make more and work less in the cleaning space?
Okay, so this is the big bomb that we haven't dropped yet on this call, and that is I was afraid to do price increases. It took a very long time. I think like 8 months of coaching with you guys, 9 months of coaching with you guys to convince me that that was the right and brave thing to do. And it was really, really hard for me for a number of reasons. I was very scared that we would lose more customers than we could afford to lose, and I'd have to let a team member go, or my personal pocketbook could be impacted, or whatever, like any number of things. And we did lose some customers. We lost a significant chunk of customers, but we pursued and we persisted, and now we have actually grown by $20,000 a month MRR, like monthly recurring revenue of our janitorial services. And we've gone from a 33% gross revenue margin to 46% gross revenue margin, which has directly put another $9,000 of actual net profit at the bottom line. And we're actually making more money servicing fewer customers, so therefore more money in less time.
And probably better customers, like customers that appreciate what you do. Funny enough, the cheapies are the ones that complain and the ones that pay well. Not that they never complain, but typically more reasonable, more consultative, more, hey, can you help me out? Less shut up and sit down. The only thing I'm going to add to that, because Marty really articulated it so well, I don't have a lot to contribute other than, and I got this from Tim Ferriss, who probably got it from somewhere else, and I found this to be true in my life and in my clients' lives. The quality of your life is directly related to the number of difficult conversations you're willing to have. And really, Marty had to make 2 sales. One, the hardest sale was to Marty. Like, all right, well, I'm paying these knuckleheads for coaching. Either they know what they're doing or they don't. If they do, I might have to, and whatever it is for you, it might be hiring, firing a client, going from 1099 to W-2 or vice versa. Like this isn't just about raising prices, but whatever that is in your world. So you got to make the sell to yourself of like, this is scary, and it'd be less scary to do nothing, but I'm not here to not be scared. I'm here to have healthy growth. And even if I prune my company back and it go, if I take 1 or 2 steps backwards, am I okay with that? If in my heart, I know I'm going to take 4 or 5 steps forward, not over like the span of 6 years, over the span of, hopefully, God willing, probably 6 months. So I love that you made the first sale to yourself, which could have taken a month. You're like, nope, I need 8 months. Like, okay, well, that's, we're going to encourage Marty, and he's going to go at the pace he's going to go at. And then you had the conversation with the people. And it's funny, you didn't mention this in your list of very real, like, what if they leave? What if I have to fire somebody? What if I don't make as much money? Those are all reasonable fears. But I think a lot of it that we just don't say is they're going to be mad at me. I just don't want to have that conversation. And I just want to encourage you guys and gals. We'll wrap it up with this theme. As you've been listening, I'm pretty confident if you own a cleaning company, you're looking to grow, that next thing, right? Maybe it's getting help. Maybe it's taking some time off and trusting your employees to do a good job. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation with somebody, customer, employee, or somebody else. God will, maybe it's a spouse, who knows? So before you hit next and just go on to the next podcast, the next one, and just, this constant stream of information with no implementation, take a break and be like, all right, I'm going to do the thing that needs to be done, do that big scary thing. And I promise you, one scary thing that needed to be done that gets done is going to beat the pants off of 23 ingested podcasts with no action items. So any parting words, Marty, before we sign off?
Make an impact and enjoy your life. Like for some people, making $50,000 a year is incredibly enough. Mm-hmm. For others, $100 million a year isn't enough. And I think I would just encourage people to decide what kind of life they want to live and pursue that with a lot of detail. Not vague, maybe some days, but like literally, I'm going to make X amount of dollars, have this number of weeks off a year, by such and such a date,
Mhm.
and then just systematically approach it.
Yeah, I would agree. The way I would phrase that is the business is meant to serve you, not the other way around. And I know everyone's like, obviously, Mike, I know that. But then they go back to their regular life and they're at dinner with their wife and somebody texts and they're like, hold on, baby. And they go put out that fire. So it's, I always use the fat guy that knows everything about carbs and exercise and sugar, but he's still fat, right? A lot of us, and that's coming from me being a little bit, Marty's skinny, so he can't say things like that, but I've got 20 to lose pretty easy. So I can, my fellow fat folk. Anyway, we all know that the business is supposed to support us and we're not supposed to support it, but then we miss kids games and important things with our wives and self-care for ourselves. So don't just listen to what Marty says of, hey, set up the business to serve the life and create the life you want. Like draw a line and say, like, yeah, if that costs a difficult conversation or even less money or some sort of pain and suffering, this thing shall serve me. And if you need some help, get some help. All right, guys, hopefully that's helpful. Growingcleaningcompany.com has all the Instagrams and Facebook groups and blah, blah, blah. You can reach out and email me at Mike at Grow My Cleaning Company if you like. We're here to help. Talk soon. See ya. Hey, Cleaning Nation, if you dug the content you just got, we don't do any ads and I don't sell anything on this podcast, but if you would just subscribe, rate, and review, it would be huge and I'd be so appreciative. Not only is it going to help me, but you'll help other owners of cleaning companies across the world work less, make more, and get profitable. So if you appreciate the value we give, again, subscribe, rate, and review. It would mean the world to me. I'd really appreciate it. And we sure appreciate your time and attention.